Live from Studio D in the 3rd Ward in downtown Milwaukee, this is Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. Hi, I'm Charlie, and today on Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders, my guest is Kathryn Dunn. Kathryn, great to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for coming this morning. So Kathryn is the new president and chief visiting officer of WWBIC, which is the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation. And this is a full circle moment for me because the first guest on this show in 2022 was Wendy Bauman, who was the previous president of WWBIC. So congratulations on taking Wendy's place. Kathryn is a former Milwaukee Business Journal 40 Under 40 honoree. She was also another Milwaukee Business Journal award, the Women of Influence in Nonprofit Leadership, and one of my favorite awards that I'd never heard of before, but it just sounds great. It's women putting their stamp on Metro Milwaukee from the U.S. Postal Service.
Yes.
That's a great award. That's very well named. So anyway, we'll get to WWBIC and all the other stuff. Let's talk a little bit about how we got here. So let's talk about your growing up years. You were born here in Milwaukee.
Right.
And so you grew up, and then, so tell us a little bit about growing up before heading off to college.
Sure. So I'm a proud Milwaukeean. You're right. I was born and raised here. I grew up at the intersection of the Metcalf Park and the Sherman Park neighborhood. So around 40th and North Avenue.
Okay.
And went to the neighborhood schools in that area. So if you're from Milwaukee, a lot of people say, "What high school did you go to?" I went to Washington High School, which was my neighborhood school. Had great experiences there, and just grew up in a really great time in my community. So, yeah. A little bit about the neighborhood, though. One of the, interesting things, and we'll talk a little bit about how this influences my work now, but I lived in a neighborhood that had undergone a lot of transformation as they were looking to build the freeway in through a center of the urban community, and it never happened.
Right.
So it was interesting to see the neighborhood get, torn down, and then what happened afterwards or didn't happen afterwards.
Right. So you head off to college. You went to UWM, got your bachelor's in journalism.
Right.
But then took several years before getting an MBA also at UWM. So talk about your educational journey and what you were thinking about as you were graduating undergrad and then as you're graduating with your MBA.
Sure. So I went to school for journalism, and I got that hook in me from actually in high school in a career day. A woman named Joanne Williams, for people who are from Milwaukee, probably recognize her, came and spoke about her career, and she was a reporter at the time. And so I thought, I really wanted to do that work. What I really found out is that I wanted to hone that skill and not necessarily that profession. So I got my undergrad in journalism and mass communications. I wound up working in sort of the nonprofit field. For a little while, I was at the Humane Society, and then I was drawn into community economic development work. I worked at a Central City business incubator, which is where I got that bug for sort of how small business sort of helps hold together a community.
Okay.
So I worked in that field for a very long time, and at some point recognized the need for more of a business education if I was going to really hone my skills here.
Right.
And so went back to UWM through their executive MBA program while I was working at the Helen Bader Foundation, and got my MBA.
Okay. So your early career, you kind of touched on it, but your last two positions before taking over WWBIC, I know were very long term, double digit years at both of them, the Greater Milwaukee Foundation and the Bader Foundation. So talk a little bit some of the things you did before that, and then the long term jobs that you had both at Bader and the Greater Milwaukee Foundation.
So before joining the Helen Bader Foundation, I was actually at WWBIC. So 30 years ago, I worked at WWBIC and helped support the lending and the training work, and did that for a couple of years before stepping into philanthropy. So I was at the Helen Bader Foundation, really continued their there's strong commitment to Milwaukee, particularly around small business development.
Right.
And so help develop and run their economic development grant making program, and then the foray into program related investments or doing direct investments in small businesses.
Okay.
And was doing that for about 14 and a half years, and then transitioned to the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, helping provide guidance around the strategic grant making in the community. And again, never really straying far from the focus on economic development, community development, and supporting the work of residents in rebuilding their community.
Right.
And so it's about 28 years doing that work.
So, just the full disclosure, you worked at the Greater Milwaukee Foundation with my wife for, I guess, 13, 14 years or so.
Full disclosure, she recruited me, yes.
Right. So, yeah, I've known Kathryn for quite some time, and was very pleased that she was the person tapped to take over WWBIC with Wendy. And that's a full circle moment for you, because you started there, and now you're running the place. So
It is.
that's great. So let's talk about WWBIC. So you started there when?
August of 24. August of 2024 as a vice
So you did.
president.
Oh, okay.
I took over as president on
Oh,
May
right.
1st.
Okay. Now I'm losing a year because of retirement. But yes, 24. I thought it was less. So you've been at WWBIC about a year and a half,
Correct.
and then you took over as president when Wendy left and went to do her whatever she's doing. I know what she's doing, but
Yeah.
this is about you, not her. So talk about WWBIC, the work in the community, and your vision for where to take WWBIC moving forward.
Sure. So, it is full circle for me. So going back to WWBIC, and what I'm just so proud of is that WWBIC, in its nearly 40 years of existence, has never strayed from its mission of providing high quality business education and access to capital for people who can't access those resources for whatever reason. And so, we've been around since 1987, grew out of the women's empowerment movement when women in particular struggled to get access to capital. And so, again, continued in that work. And since that time, we have provided over $135 million in small loans across the state of Wisconsin,
Right.
and have trained, thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs who are interested in starting or expanding their business.
And this is men and women.
Men and women. So
Because
don't be
I've
fooled
taken-
by the name.
I've taken classes
Yeah.
at WWBIC.
Yeah, so men and women. And, again, we continue the work really is about providing access to those resources that people can't get. It might be because they have sort of a clunky credit history or no credit history.
Right.
It might be where they're located. It might be the kind of business sector that they're in. Like there's just not something that they can access readily. And so our charge is to provide those training opportunities, business coaching and counseling, and of course the access to capital that they can't get. We're not in a place of replacing the banks. Oftentimes banks refer clients to us. We just help people get the start with that
Right.
business, get it going, show profitability, and then they can move on and become a bankable client. And so again, we've been doing this for almost 40 years, and our loans tend to be small, $50,000, $100,000. So imagine $140 million that we've put out on the street revolved back around.
Right.
It's a lot of small loans.
A lot of business out there.
Yeah,
A lot of people who've been on the show say, "Oh yeah, I got my start with WWBIC. They helped me. They gave me seed money. Blah blah." So it's a great organization, and they're in good hands. And given your track record, you're probably going to be there for a while.
I do have this longevity thing.
Right. So that's a great thing. So
Yeah.
we call this serious people with serious jobs having a little fun. We're gonna have a little fun today. I want to give you one
Thank
of our
you.
aprons. So
Thank
you don't
you.
get she's nicely dressed today. All right. So Kathryn, what are we making today?
So we are making one of my favorite go-to dishes, particularly in the wintertime. It's a mix of fresh tomatoes and peppers and really anything you might have laying around that you want to put in a blender and pour over fresh pasta, and combined with some Italian sausage. So it's a nice blend of comfort food and a freshness to it that I think you'll find really refreshing.
Good. So we'll this is a customizable dish that we'll
Yep.
talk about as we're making it. So we've done a little prep work back here, and we're gonna go back, put the dish together. So give us a minute. Be right back. All right. So we're here in the kitchen. We've got all our ingredients here. So Kathryn, go ahead and take it away.
All right. So this morning we are going to be cooking up our Italian sausage. And we have bulk Italian sausage. You can use length, but I prefer bulk.
Mhm.
We're going to splash a little bit of olive
Okay.
oil in there, just enough to make the pan look a little wet.
Okay. Olives and your avocado on top of her.
And then I'm going to drop it in and I'm going to bust it up as it cooks. You can make little balls if you want, depending on if you want to handle the sausage. Or you can just cut it up like the... I'm going to cut it up into smaller pieces today so that it cooks a little bit faster.
Okay.
And while the sausage is cooking, we have the water going to heat up for the pasta.
Right. So the water's there. We've got some bread that we will be serving with. Pop the water's over there. And we're going to use the blender to make the sauce.
Yep. I'll let you do that. And I'm going to come over. And so the beauty about this recipe is that it really is just really toss a bunch of fresh ingredients into the blender and puree it up so you're creating a fresh sauce. I like to use a variety of colored tomatoes because it makes the sauce a beautiful color.
Okay.
So put some.
We've got cherry tomatoes. We've got multicolored.
Yep. So we reserved some of the tomatoes to cut up in half so that when we serve the dish, we can sprinkle them on top and
All right, so
add
the
a little
garnish
bit
for
more of a texture to it than just the straight sauce. So we're using a medley of grape-sized tomatoes, and then we have some mini sweet peppers,
okay,
also healthy and antioxidants and full of vitamin C.
and multicolored too.
There you go. So I'm not going to use them all. And then adding some fresh garlic.
Okay. And Kathryn, I know you're not Italian, but there is no such thing as too much garlic.
I have to agree with you on that. I want to make sure that I put some all kind of here to help. I'm going to do it on these tomatoes, and then I'm going to put it.
All right, so we got about
Help them open up a little bit,
the salt.
and then also flavor them, of course.
Right.
Some fresh ground pepper.
It's freshly ground at some point.
All right. And then I'm going to add a little bit of balsamic vinaigrette.
All right.
Balsamic vinegar.
All right.
And last but not least, olive coming back.
More olive oil.
Olive oil.
And you were mentioning that usually when you make this, you add a little accelerator.
Yep.
Back there.
So I'll add, first I'm going to blend it up and then we will add a little bit of red wine. And usually I add the red wine as we are pouring it into the dish with the pasta so that it loosens up any of the great chunks that are on the edges of the inside of the blender.
So it's not a one-on-one, you drink the glass and then the glass goes in?
Well, you know.
Or is that close?
I drink the glass, the blender gets a little bit, but the blender doesn't get a whole glass.
Okay.
So it's really making this great puree of just fresh tomatoes and fresh peppers. That was lovely. I'm going to add a few more of these tomatoes in there.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So
Thank you. Yep.
All right.
So, and you know, this dish,
What
I
kind
shared
of
this with you earlier, but this dish is super easy to make, and you can add sausage, you can add shrimp if you prefer shrimp in your dish. Really, it's about the freshness of the sauce that you're putting on top.
Right.
And
Now you said this was something that you grew up with, or you're?
no, so actually this dish has a special place in my heart. In 2006, my mom was sort of at the end of her fight with cancer
Uh-huh.
and was in the hospital. And my sister had come to visit from Portland. And we would spend long days in the hospital. And, you know, there's a certain smell and just everything that you pick up from being in the hospital. And at night, when we would come home, I would make this, some version of this. And it was really about bringing something fresh and just rejuvenating back into our day at the end of a long day, you know, sitting with my mom.
Sure.
And so I continue to make this now. This is, again, a go-to dish for me and my family at home. Also, because when I come home from work, I still want to cook because I love to cook, but I also don't want to spend 2 hours preparing
Sure.
something.
Pretty
Throwing
simple.
everything in the blender and blending it up, and it tastes delicious. So it's a
Okay.
great meal.
All right. So the next step is we wait for the pasta to finish,
Yep.
and then we're going to empty that. It's salted water, so
Yeah. We're gonna reserve a little bit of the pasta water to thicken
Okay.
up the tomatoes when we put them in with the sausage. And then we're just gonna pour the sauce on top. That's where we put a little wine in here too and swish it around.
Okay.
Pour that on top and get it just warm. We don't want to cook the tomatoes. We just want to get them warm. So
Okay.
the sauce covers the pasta and it's already warm. And then we pour the pasta on top of the sauce with the sausage and then blend it
Okay.
up really well.
all right. So we have a couple minutes to get the pasta ready. All right. So give us a minute. Be right back. All right. So the pasta is basically finished. And so what we're going to do next is, Kathryn.
We are going to pour in the sauce
Okay.
into the warm sausage pan. And now look at all that wonderful, chunky, fresh tomato. So we need a little red wine.
Okay. A little red wine going in.
Pour that in there. We're going to swish it around. We might need a little bit more.
Okay.
And if this was in the afternoon, I might take a swig.
Or two.
Go. And then we're going to mix that around.
All right. So
Then I'm going
sauce.
to take some pasta water
Okay.
and I'm going to put it in here. Thank you.
Mhm.
To get that starchy water to
A little
help
pasta
just
water going in.
thicken it up just a little bit.
Okay.
Go, and then we're going to empty the water from the pasta and pour the pasta on top of this yummy sauce.
Drain the pasta. We already took the pasta water out. All righty. This is we go right. Finish your pasta in your sauce.
Yep. I'm going to drop it right in there.
Okay. All right.
Then we're going to mix it all in.
So it'll continue to cook and absorb, the pasta will. Because we pulled it out just al dente, and then the sauce will thicken, the pasta will absorb, and then at some point we're going to have to eat this.
Ooh, yum. We are ready to serve it.
Okay, so we'll put the tomatoes on now, or?
When we put it in the bowl,
Okay.
then we're going to put them on top.
All right, so give us a minute. We're going to get set up to head to the table. Be right back. All right, so we're back, and we're going to finish the pasta. We got it in a serving bowl here. And so we've got some fresh basil. And I want to point out our basil comes courtesy of 100 Acre Farm. 100 Acres, Chris Corkery's gig, hydroponic. And one of the things about his greens that he grows from a hydroponic state is they last, and they're always tasty. This basil would last for weeks in the fridge.
Got a wonderful fragrance to it. Can't wait to dig in with this.
All right, so we got topping with some basil.
So I'm just really ripping it up to, you know, sort of open up the fragrance of it. And I don't want to cook it. So it'll cook
Right.
a little bit on the hot pasta
Sure.
and sausage. And go. And then we're going to take now.
Cherry tomatoes that are halved.
Yeah.
Have been halved. They aren't
Halved
halved.
and halved.
All right.
And next.
Some balsamic glaze. That might be another thing there's never too much of.
I have to agree on that.
A little parm. All right, we have parm on the table too.
Yep. There we go.
All right,
It's ready
so here's our pasta ready to roll. So we're going to go to the table, serve it, be right back. All right, we're back. So, Kathryn, tell us what we got here. And I didn't call her Wendy this time.
We have a wonderful bowl of fresh pasta with Italian sausage and a puree of fresh tomatoes, a little bit of medley of cherry tomato sliced on top to give it a little more texture and dimension, and then fresh parmesan, fresh basil, and a little bit of balsamic glaze on top. And we are ready to dig in.
All right. So, Kathryn, what you hand me this was we'll serve Tom and Dave in the audience. Ellen, you're not eating? All right.
We'll have her serving.
Another photo bomb from my wife and the.
We'll take Ellen's serving.
All right, and we have some
Fresh
some
crusty bread.
nice bread to serve with it. Sop up some of the juices. All right. Get some more tomatoes for Tom. There you go, Tom.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And there's a little red wine in there also.
Oh, good.
Just mention.
I guarantee they don't care. Or they may do care, and that's a good thing.
Thank you.
This is my breakfast. This looks awesome.
Here you go, Dave.
Thank you.
You take the bread, and Kathryn, why don't you go ahead and serve yourself?
That is buttery.
Charlie,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Bread.
Some parm there.
You guys get some bread?
Tom, extra parm.
Oh, yeah, sure.
A little pasta.
Now, what's the? Are you supposed to hold
Right there.
the cheese in one hand as you do it? Is
Yes,
that-
you pick
okay.
it up.
I didn't know. I didn't know what the
Okay.
rules were here.
All right.
Oh, and this has
Got the sheath on it.
Yeah.
There you go.
that would make about 2 well.
Oh, I have an American Style Kitchen.
All right. Let's give her a taste. See how we did.
This was.
Now, get away,
Like this was?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. It does work better that way. Learning something new every day.
We got some senior citizens learning how to use a cheese grater over here.
That's great.
Kathryn, why don't you come over to the
Exactly
table?
what it is. It's great.
All right.
Super.
Let's give her a taste.
Super.
Fresh pasta. Tomato medley.
Doesn't have some fancy name.
No, I mean we can make one up together, but this is a dish that I just made it up. Yummy. Charlie, good job on cooking the sausage.
Where'd you get the sausage from, Charlie?
The Metro Market.
I mean, is it a specific brand?
Yeah. It's all in the technique of how you cook it.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it taste good. Which is you put it in a pan with olive oil.
Well, we will definitely be making this because I'm always making pasta in the summer with fresh tomatoes. But usually I just do it with basil and it's just simple.
I'll put a little extra parm on. It's very good.
Life in 2026.
I mean, it's different than a tomato pasta because you can get that pepper, that bell pepper taste, or the mini peppers. Mini peppers. It's just great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm glad you like it.
It's delicious.
Did you want some parm?
I do. Thank you.
So before you take another bite, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
it.
It was a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. Having new leadership at WWBIC, who will continue some of the old and put your stamp on the new part, which is great. And obviously food is great. The audience loves it, and I think we're going to be here for a minute or two finishing this. So thank you, Kathryn, and thank you for supporting Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. Each week, we talk to one of our community leaders. We talk about their work in the community. Then we cook something tasty, and then we eat it. So, until next time, thanks for watching.
Woohoo!
The audience loves it.
Yay.
Thanks so much for supporting Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.